Nathaniel Riches on Instagram wants to know who's your favorite comedian.
My favorite comedian of all time is Bob Hope. I saw Bob Hope live and talked to him.
Oh.
At, when I was a child. And I watched him, you know, a giant, you know, he's such a big star, Bob Hope. So I was at the Canadian National Exhibition, you know, which holds 30,000 people or something like that. And Bob Hope is just astonishingly funny.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you can't quote a Bob Hope joke.
Yeah.
Because his jokes all were bad. Yeah. But he was so fantastic.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
You mean like Democrats?
And you know, when I saw him, he moved so subtly. He hardly moved on stage, but after a joke, he'd shift his weight slightly. And I thought later, he's such a physical comic in movies. You know what I mean? He can dance and move.
Yes, yes.
But he knew in stand-up to just do this very subtle.
But this is a beautiful audience. It's obvious that many of the ladies spent the afternoon with their hairdresser. Some had their hair done, and I just...
But anyways, he's my favorite stand-up. Everybody says Pryor and Carlin, but Bob Hope is my favorite stand-up of all time.
Oh, really?
Between the jokes that, you know, Carson would do a saver or something, but Bob Hope would do a great thing where he'd do the joke, stare in the camera, and there'd be fear in his eyes, as if he'd been found out or something. I remember as a child, like, really always wanting, and of course it was so great when you just walk on Carson.
Yeah,
and he was doing a special next door, you know. This is I'm going to go on talk shows from now on, just talk like Bob Hope from the 70s. So you asked me a question.
So Norm, I heard you were working on a new show. What's the process?
Yeah, working on a special just across the hall, you know, and it's wild. We got a lot. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We got Kawhi Leonard, and you know he's just doing wonderful things up there. And who else will be there? Are you familiar with Cagney and Lacey?
I'm not.
Well, we're gonna have them both. And who else? Robert Stack will be there. And Susan Sarandon, a wonderful gal. Don't care much for her politics. She's a bit of a commie. But Janine Garofalo will be there. All kinds of just wonderful folk. And we're doing that across the hall. Anyways, I got to go. I need to leave. And then the other guy would be because he'd always interrupt a guy right in the middle of the story. That's what Bob Hope was famous for. You know, Walter Matthau would go, and then I get da 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 da, and then Bob Hope walks out. Walter Matthau has to trundle over to the couch. Anyway, as he picked great comics, then I see the American one. He said Bob Hope. That's what Steve Carell said.
Right.
I like Bob Hope. I'm like, yeah.
Sure.
Why would you like Bob Hope? It's so much more interesting that a guy with no sense of humor loves good comedy.
Right.
Because that's what I heard in high school all the time. People would just play Monty Python all the time, you know, just recite it, and just witless idiots.
Although I would contend that Bob Hope was a good comedian.
Well, he's my favorite comic, but most people...
I liked his film persona, I think, more than his stand-up persona.
People forget how great a physical comic
Well, and also you can clearly see how much Woody Allen stole from him in terms of the persona, the nervousness, the kind of the would-be womanizer being shot down, which I tried to steal shamelessly as well.
He just stole it, and then he thought, well, if I say I stole it, that's all right.
Right, yeah. Did you meet him?
No, I saw him on Barbara Walters was interviewing. He's not a guy that, you know, has his heart on his sleeve. You know what I mean? And she said, I read that when you were young, you were, you know, a 2-story flat, and you know, you were 10 children, 3 of them died, and you had to go play the old hall, you know, just to survive. You know, and he said, isn't that wild? and then she said, you've been married 50 years. Like, how do you and Dolores keep the marriage going?
And then it's about to go down. We're here to stay and run this town. Bring in the heat, bring in the energy. We're the queens of the festival, can't you see? We're the queens of the festival, here to rule the stage. Dropping beats and make your body engage. From sunrise to sunset, we're taking it all. Festival queen standing tall. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. From dawn dawn till dusk, we command the crowd's gaze. Every beat, every rhyme sets our souls ablaze. With swagger and style, we own this domain. In the realm of music, we reign supreme, no chain. Feel the rhythm pulsating through your veins. Our verses ignite, fire never wane. With each lyric we spit, each move we make, we carve our legacy, leaving jaws to quake. We're the queens of the festival, here to rule the stage. Dropping beats and make your body engage. From sunrise to sunset, we're taking it all. We're the festival queens standing tall. Ooh, I get it. Ooh. No crown needed, our all's the crown jewel in the kingdom of sound. We never play the fool with beats as our scepters and rhymes as our decree. We're the sovereigns of rhythm for all to see. So bow down to the queens as we own the night. In the kingdom of music, we're the guiding light. From the first note to the last, we'll always be the festival queens, forever wild and free.
Yes, I play golf. We have the dogs. But I like that he was only about comedy. Oh! Hey, I'm thankful that this year the police finally solved the baffling murder of Bob Hope.